for Bring Your Own Lunch. Personal stories about the business with my daddy, Dave T. Koenig.
All right, come on in. Have a seat. Welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at BringYourOwnLunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this podcast, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude. I gave him the damn cupcake. And of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag you can use if you want to get involved on social media. Like us on Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. Follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at BringYourOwnLunch. Show your support, hashtag BYOL. And of course, if that's a little too much, you can always go to the home base, the mothership, if you will, the website, BringYourOwnLunch.com. Find out all the information about the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future. And you can send me a personal email, dave@BringYourOwnLunch.com. Work-life ratio. It's a big buzz word in the corporate world right now, and it's something that a lot of people are thinking about. There are countries that are deciding to cut back on the workday to 6 hours instead of the traditional 8. And there are others that, kind of espouse the idea of just working until you drop. And in this business, the entertainment business, the debate's no different. The ability to make time for both yourself and your career is one that I think many of us struggle with day to day. I just found out via Facebook that somebody I know who is an actor who has been successful, been involved in big projects and had big commercial campaigns, decided that because the business requires more than the average amount of dedication and almost insists sometimes that you forego a personal life, that's no longer something he wants to be part of, and he's going to go a different route and no longer pursue an acting career. He's not the first to do it, certainly, and he certainly won't be the last, but I say power to him. If that's what's right for him and his family, I have nothing to say about it. But my guest this week does have something to say about it because she has experienced things from both sides of the coin, both as a producer and as an actor, and both from the beginning parts of the career and what life is like after starting a family. Liz Samuel, old friend of mine, we go back, I think, 12 or 13 years to one of my first jobs as a professional actor. Liz is somebody who's got an amazing head on her shoulders. She approaches things in a way that's very familiar to me. She and I have very similar backgrounds, coming from the New York City area and going to college for broadcasting or broadcast journalism in her case, and finding that midway through our 20s, we weren't doing exactly what we wanted to do, and by our late 20s had settled into our acting careers. Plus, we are both parents of 2 children. Obviously, she's parent of her children, and I'm parent of mine, but we can relate to each other on that level. And Liz and I have a great conversation coming up where we talk about the difference between working as a single person and working as a married person and someone who has children, and finding your passion and how hard it is sometimes to do something you know you are not right for, even if it puts you in some really amazing positions and in scenarios that really make for fascinating storytelling. So I hope you will enjoy this conversation I have with Liz. And as somebody who is sitting there wondering how you can make a career and have a home life that's happy and healthy and wise, well, this one might be for you. Speaking of families, now, if you don't know, I had a little interesting experience over the weekend that spilled into this week, all involving YouTube. See, this weekend I was out and about with my family on a Saturday. We were going to a bunch of stores. We had soccer for my daughter, and it was kind of a long morning. And I needed to stop at a supermarket because I was looking for some pork that I could throw on the smoker and make some really excellent pulled pork. Believe it or not, it was hard to find a big Boston butt to smoke, one that was at least reasonably priced. So we tried one more supermarket, and that supermarket happened to be hosting former Giant Chris Snee, 2-time Super Bowl champion, who was doing an in-store appearance, signing some autographs, saying hello to the people. Hadn't planned on going to this supermarket. I don't think I've been in that supermarket more than twice before, but we found ourselves at that supermarket. And in honor of Chris Snee and the New York Giants, they were giving out cupcakes, specifically blue cupcakes. Now, these were small. They were the kind that, I don't know, maybe the size of 2 fingers. They weren't full-size cupcakes. And they offered them to me when I walked in. The kids were in the car with my wife. And I said, you know what? I'll get them on the way out. I passed by Chris Snee, didn't say hi to him. And by the time I had left, he was gone. Incidentally, I ended up getting picnic hams. And if you are a smoker, if you're a barbecue lover, and you want to make pulled pork, don't go with the picnic ham. Go with the Boston butt. I learned that lesson this week. And even though it was tasty and all that stuff, Boston butt for pulled pork, way better than the picnic ham. But I digress. So I got my stuff. I was heading out. Chris Snee was gone, but the cupcakes were still there. And I thought, the kids were really good. I decided I would grab a couple of cupcakes, one for each of them, and give them to them, especially if they had been really good waiting in the car while I went in to buy my pork. Got to the car, found out they were really good, and I said, hey, let's give them cupcakes. So I did. We drove off. In the course of that car trip, my son Jack, I'll use him by name because at this point, a lot of people know his name, he ate his cupcake. Caroline, my daughter, who you hear at the beginning of this show, ate her cupcake. Whereas Caroline, afterwards, remembered that she had eaten a cupcake. Jack, for some reason, convinced himself that he hadn't, and was telling us that he didn't have a cupcake. You should know my son Jack is 3 years old, by the way, because it is really relevant to this story. I thought what he was saying was hilarious, and the kind of thing that makes me glad that we live in the technology age we do now, because I was able to capture that moment on my iPhone. Rare thing these days where you can capture that one moment of your child's life that you wish you could hang on to forever. I got one. I started asking him questions about the cupcake, and he just kept denying that he ever had one. Got home several hours later, rest of the family's asleep, I'm watching TV, and I say, this would be fun to post on YouTube. So I put it up on YouTube, and I shared it on Facebook, and then I decided, I'll put it on Reddit. Reddit's a great place where even if something doesn't blow up or anything, at least you get some feedback on things. And I think if you're a parent, you look at this video and you get it, and you think, hey, that's pretty funny, and Jack is cute, and I got a chuckle out of this. So maybe a few people will see it, and maybe some will tell me that they think it's funny. And that's all I was caring about. Went to bed, and in the morning, 9,000 people had looked at that video, probably due to Reddit. And not only did 9,000 people look at that video, apparently a bunch of companies and some news organizations had also looked at that video and had contacted me asking if they could work with us on either licensing that video or using that video on their news program. And man, oh man, from that point forward, it was like a roller coaster ride. Every hour we were checking and there were more views on this video. Amazing that people were watching this video. And over the next couple of days, it just kept growing and growing and growing until today, as it stands, at the time of this recording, there have been 1.16 million people who have viewed the little video that I put up there called Who Ate the Cupcake. It's been seen on Good Morning America, on the Today Show. Kathy Lee and Hoda talked about it. It's been in the Huffington Post. It was pretty much been everywhere. It's been licensed out a bunch of times, and we've gotten lots of really cool feedback. Friends and family are so excited about it. Strangers have said really nice things about Jack and how cute he is, and I couldn't be more proud of how this thing has ended up. But I will say one thing, and I have avoided taking anyone to task. But the downside of fame is usually that people feel that they are free to say whatever they want about whomever they want, as long as those people are in the public eye. Now, granted, I put that video up on YouTube, so I can't blame anybody for having criticism. I can't say, you shouldn't say anything about my video because that's my child and it's private and all that stuff. No, I made it public and that's my responsibility. However, there's a difference between having a rational criticism of what you think you see and what reality really presents. I'll give you a few examples of the kinds of things that I heard about my son, about me, about my wife, and about every single child on this earth, apparently, who is 3 years old. You see, I told you the story about how Jack got that cupcake, but that is not told as specifically in the video. So there are a lot of people who look at that video and ascribe certain behaviors and ascribe certain conditions that they think they see. First of all, people assume that Jack stole that cupcake. Nope. I gave it to him. He was allowed to have it. Secondly, and this is a little bit more of a moral debate, I agree, but a lot of people just immediately assume that he is a liar. And I'm here to tell you that if you have a 3-year-old child in front of you and you use the same standard for lying for a 3-year-old that you do for an older child like my daughter or for an adult, you are going to hear that child lie 6 or 7 times throughout the day. And it's because 3-year-olds live in a completely different reality from the rest of the world. They've only just begun to get a grasp of communication. So the idea of deception and the idea of trying to fool anybody is not the same thing as when a 7-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 24-year-old or a 42-year-old tries to deceive you. So when I asked my son if he had eaten a cupcake, and he says no, he's not lying in the same way you would be lied to by someone older. In my son's mind, he had convinced himself that he hadn't eaten a cupcake. Do I think he was lying? Not in the same way. Do I think it's a punishable thing? Absolutely not. In 3 years' time, if he says that same thing to me after I catch him eating something he wasn't supposed to eat, will I have a talk with him? Absolutely. So let's clear that up. Jack didn't steal anything, and in my mind, and in my wife's mind, he didn't lie. He just told the truth as his 3-year-old mind believed. So anybody who's questioning me or my wife as parents, just from looking at this 23-second video, I believe there is more to the story than what you think you see. Now, those are the ones that I can handle. In fact, somebody criticized because the cupcake itself, the icing, had a lot of food coloring in it. And for anybody who's worried about his health, technically, I kind of agree with you. I don't love the fact that it had all this food coloring in it because we don't know what that food coloring is, and we took a shot. But just know that we are pretty good about keeping healthy foods in this house. And when you ask Jack what he wants for dessert 9 times out of 10, he'll say fruit or I don't want dessert. So these are not kids. My kids are not kids who are constantly being fed sweets. We give them as treats because we're trying to do the best we can as parents. It's just what we do. But those are the kind of arguments that I can at least understand. And I can at least offer some semblance of response to. But I got to tell you, the ones that really boil my blood, the ones that had me really, really upset and had my wife upset, and are the reason why neither of my children really know what's going on with this video, are the people who A, sexualize the video, or B, suggest violence. Now, I'm not saying to the parents who say, hey, you should give that child a spanking for lying. First of all, I covered the lying. But secondly, that's not what this debate is about. I'm talking about the ones who literally said that child should be punched in the face. And I'm not even going to get into the specifics of what people said in terms of sexual behavior involving a 3-year-old boy. But I read something on, I believe it was Reddit recently, that said you cannot change someone's mind with rational thought when they did not reach their conclusion based on rational thought to begin with. So I decided not to challenge anybody who posted anything online. Instead, on occasion, I have asked questions. And it's funny when you confront somebody with the real person behind a video, how quickly they no longer want to engage in any sort of conversation once the veil of anonymity has been removed. And when I thought about the mentality of a person who would either sexualize or think violence when seeing a video of a 3-year-old boy, I had to make a choice. Whether or not I was going to be sick to my stomach for days and angry at the world, or try to at least understand the mentality of what's going on. Now, some people posted jokes. They were sexual jokes and completely inappropriate, and really brings into question their own common sense, because if those comments about a 3-year-old boy in a sexual manner are ever traced back to them, I don't know that the people they work for, or anybody who might hire them in the future, or anybody who really likes to know them, might think they were so great. But if you were making a joke, I understand why you'd make a joke. Because I admit to myself that when I look at random videos on YouTube, immediately I either start to make jokes or I start to make judgments. So I'm not completely innocent when it comes to that. One of the things about posting videos on YouTube is that you are giving people who enjoy the anonymity of the internet something to exercise their anonymity with, thus giving them voice that they wouldn't ordinarily have. I don't think if you put Jack in front of these people, they would ever make that kind of a joke, especially if I was standing there. But you give some anonymity there, and people feel more comfortable saying things that no rational human being should ever think. And the thing that really puts it over the top is thinking what led to a certain mindset that says you should punch a 3-year-old in the face. And it's a person's history that really dictates that sort of thing. And if you look at Jack's video and you say, I want to punch him in the face, as a father, I have to admit to you that that kind of threat in person would make me extraordinarily angry. But on the internet, for you, makes me feel extraordinarily sad. And I can only hope that you someday feel a peace inside of you that allows you to let go of what happened to you in the past. Because obviously someone somewhere along the way hurt you really bad and did not feed you with any way of dealing with the anger inside of you. And one other thing I learned from it, by the way, is a little lesson in economics. When you're watching a video start to creep up to 1 million views, and I'm still astounded by that even being a concept, you start to appreciate incremental increases less and less. The video is being viewed, I think, something like 10,000 times an hour. If you told me that anything I worked on would get 10,000 views an hour, I would get down on my knees and thank you for even suggesting it was a possibility. So, as we crept toward 1 million, I found myself looking down on what should be large numbers. Oh, it's only 10,000 more. It's going to take forever to get to 1 million. And I think about people who have a lot of money and why they're constantly wanting more money. And not just a little bit of money, a lot of money. When you have a ton, getting a little doesn't seem like a lot. But you give that same amount to somebody who doesn't have a lot, it can change them forever. Unfortunately, not a lot of people appreciate their position in having a lot, so they look down on people who need an extra $1,000 or don't understand why a bill for $500 can break you. To be honest, if I could, I'd give some of these million views away. I know I can't, but it makes me hope that when I have $1 million in my pocket, I'm not only going to help people out who want some of that money, but that I'll appreciate it when somebody hands me $1. All right, this was a long one. We'll get to the interview in a second, but before that, gotta thank Banuba. Banuba.net, BANOOBA.net. That's the band that plays the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. They are awesome. Go to their website, go download their music, buy their music, go see them live. They're awesome. And tell them Dave says hi. And if you really want to help bring your own lunch, go to iTunes or Stitcher, rate, review, and subscribe to Bring Your Own Lunch. It helps us out a ton. I won't get into the details why. Just know that you'll be helping us out a lot. And then tweet it out to your friends and say, hey, go listen to this podcast and hashtag it BYOL. All right, let's get into it. The interview with Liz Samuel, actor, producer, former journalist, mother, bakery scion? We'll find out. Here's Liz. Enjoy. So what name do you use professionally?
Liz Samuel.
It is. Okay. So
yeah.
You, at any point before you were married, were you involved in the business before you were married?
So involved in a family way, yes, but not invested in, like I wasn't going to be taken. Did you? Oh, sorry. I am totally, okay. Hold on.
No, it's cool.
My head right now is in, my dad was just dropping off cakes. I have my father's bakery business that and I thought you were referring with my name because my name is Grossinger.
Yes.
So Grossinger's Bakery, and I thought you were going there for a second.
No, that's so funny though. I didn't know about it, but I guess we know where we're starting.
Well, I don't know. I was involved. Okay. This is so funny.
This is great.
No, so I was involved in the business in a very small way. When you say the business,
now,
like
which business are you? Okay, so it's not the cake making business.
Not yet. No, I'll talk about that in a little. I can tell you about that.
Okay,
that is full of stories.
Okay,
but I was Liz Grossinger in the showbiz biz.
Yes.
For probably, maybe a year or two.
Okay.
But I wasn't really doing much at all, and I was already engaged. So I knew by the time I got married, which was kind of young. I mean, I was getting married at 26.
Yeah, that's relatively young.
Right? So I decided I liked my husband's name better anyway, that it sounded better for the business.
Sure,
right?
Sure, yeah.
So I was ready to change my name immediately and then use that professionally. And so by 26, I was Liz Samuel, and I just went with that.
So it's a natural progression rather than you didn't pick it out of the air, or you didn't have to deal with being in the business under one name and then get married and then have to decide whether you wanted to adopt that name or not for professional reasons.
Right. So I was Liz Grossinger as a TV producer. So for several years, I would say about 6 years, I was Liz Grossinger as a TV producer, and then Liz Grossinger Samuel for a year to transition.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was out of the production world and into the acting stuff, and then I just used Liz Samuel.
So you had a whole new identity as Liz Samuel, and
yes.
that's who you are to the business today.
Exactly.
And in your personal life. So makes things a little easier, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I haven't my Facebook page is still I use my maiden name only because I feel like there's so many Liz Samuels, but there's no Liz Grossinger.
Well,
so
yeah.
I might as well just keep the whole thing for, people,
Oh, so it's all three names?
So it's all three names for
Facebook.
For the personal stuff. But for professional, it's just Liz Samuel.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a couple of points to hit now. We're starting to establish our timeline here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So, but I want to go back to.
My brain went to the bakery business immediately.
Well, obviously means a lot to you.
There's just a lot tied up in it, in many ways.
All right.
Tied up emotionally and physically. For instance, physically, there are 2 cakes in my freezer downstairs right now that my dad just dropped off half an hour ago because one was ordered by a neighbor that I have to get it to her. Oh. And the other one is for someone next week that he can't get to. It's a praline ice cream cake. This is the specialty of the bakery that was around for 60 years that closed in 1999.
Oh my gosh.
But my father still continues to make this praline ice cream cake. And it is a staple of many homes of the Upper West Side of people in the, I would say 50 to 90-year-old bracket.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like appropriate for praline to me.
Praline ice cream cake. It's quite a cake, though, I have to say. It's not, there's nothing dated about eating that cake.
No.
But
it sounds refined and Upper West Side-y.
It is Upper West Side-y.
Yeah.
Those bakeries were open from 1935 to 1990.
Your family? It was at your
yes. So
your family.
So it was Grossinger's Bakery, and my father was born into it. His parents opened it in 1935. They were Hungarian Jews from Transylvania.
Nice.
So we are Transylvanian.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he grew up literally in the bakery.
Okay.
Like the phone rang in their apartment upstairs. That was for the bakery. Like it rang in their apartment. And
oh, wow.
I don't think that my father was actually raised by anybody but the bakery. Like I think that
was his life.
Yeah.
Where was this?
So it was on 76th Street on Columbus Avenue, and that was the home. It was called Grossinger's Home Bakery. And now, if you look at my maiden name, it has one S, but the bakery was two S's.
Oh, okay.
And this is like a story that I've decided not to be embarrassed about. I think it's funny. The reason why I have one S and the bakery was two is that my father's parents were first cousins, which is what they did back in the old country.
It was a different time.
Right? And they were cross cousins, not parallel cousins. And if you know anything about anthropology.
I don't actually. Explain that.
Okay. So if you have a brother and that brother has a child, your children cannot marry your brother's children because you're the same sex as your brother. That's a parallel cousin. But
Really?
biologically, so a cross cousin is someone, if you have a sister and your sister has kids and your kids, let's say, made babies with them.
Yes.
Biologically and genetically, they'll be okay.
I didn't know that.
Okay, don't go marrying cousins, everybody. I'm not
no.
making a thing for marrying cousins or for being with cousins. And this is kind of,
this is not like Maury Povich or anything.
Right, but I think that was like I think that, and this is not going into the Transylvanian or Hungarian part of it. I think this was like anywhere people did this.
Well, I mean, when the world was much smaller,
right,
and your sphere of influence was smaller,
right,
and your community was smaller,
right,
your options were fewer. So you had to, I guess you went by what the experts at the time would say, yeah, that's okay and that's not okay.
Right. So I don't even know exactly how that all happened, but they ended up coming over here in the 1920s, and my grandfather worked in many bakeries and then decided to open up his own. And then he opened it in 1935, called it Grossinger's. His name was Groussinger, and hers was Grossinger. So they even spell their names differently. So when they had kids, they compromised, changed it, and
to
the kids
1S.
were 1S. So
interesting.
Technically, I'm a 2S or an OUS, but
that's almost like looking at your DNA. You know, it's like your recessive O and the recessive U. You know, that's so funny.
It's so crazy, but I don't have any. I didn't know my grandfather. He died before I was born, and my grandmother, I do remember. She died when I was about 8, I believe it was, and I have these funny memories of her chasing me around the bakery in this circular kind of like around the counter, through the back, and around. And I can still smell not only the pastries and the danishes and the breads that they made there, but I also still, going back to my childhood memories, smell what it smelled like to go from the front of the bakery and my grandmother chasing me to the back of the bakery.
Wow.
I have all that all comes back to you.
That's the best stuff.
It's so crazy. And so it was on 76 in Columbus, and they had quite a few famous customers. I mean, Superman, Christopher Reeves used to come in all the time.
Oh, wow.
In like the 80s, I guess it was 70s, 80s. That bakery closed in 1990. And my father, he took over the business in the 80s. When his father had already passed and his mother passed away, he took it over. He was a stockbroker, and he just had to continue this business. And then he opened up another one on 88th Street. So there were two.
Oh, wow.
So for 5 years, there were two bakeries. Then the original one closed in 1990. And he kept the other one open till 99. These were both forced closed. Like the landlord wiped the whole block out.
Oh, that's the worst.
And then the one on 88th was the city owned the bakery or the building and wouldn't renew the lease. And then they didn't have anything in there for like 5 years. It was
that's tragic.
so sad.
Yeah.
But it's a blessing in disguise because my dad had some heart issues and he went through bypass surgery right when it closed. And he's, since then, so that was 16 years ago, and he still has been making that praline ice cream cake
customers.
For customers and like restaurants that still have it on their menu.
Yeah.
Chez Josephine, Chez Suzette, anything with a chez in front of it.
He brings the praline.
Praline, and they put it on the menu. It's called a baume glacé, which I guess in French means like candied ice cream. I don't speak any
it sounds
French,
right. Yeah.
like a candied ice cream or something.
I think that's right. Yeah. Wow. So where were you? Where was the family during all of this? Were you in the city or were you?
So no, I grew up I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in New Jersey in a tiny little town in Bergen County. And so the reason why they chose this tiny little town in Bergen County was we had to be super close to the GW. Like you had to be able to zoom across. My dad could get to that bakery in 18 minutes.
That's what I love about that area is that you can get to the city real fast.
So fast. So if it was 6 a.m. and the baker, there was a problem,
forget it. Yeah.
His head baker would call and he could be there in 18 minutes, 20 minutes.
Incredible.
Yeah. So that's why they chose that area. And even though I was raised in New Jersey, I grew up in the city. We were there twice a week. I worked in the bakery from age like 8 to 24.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I learned how to make change on my grandmother's old register. And
the one that was
ding, ding, like
manual?
Totally.
Yeah.
And
that's the
they
best.
had a manual one till like the early 90s.
I love that.
Nobody switched over to anything. And so I knew business was not in me. I was not a business-minded person. So I was always acting as a kid.
Okay. So where was school for you?
Oh, so in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, okay.
Yeah. So I went to high school in New Jersey, and then I went to Syracuse for college. And when I came back and I moved to the city and I was working in production.
Mm-hmm. What did you go to school for?
Broadcast journalism.
Okay. Similar to what I did. I went to Hofstra for TV radio.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So at Syracuse.
But that's a big deal at Syracuse.
It was a big deal to do broadcast journalism. Like you couldn't do TV, radio, film. Like it was like broadcast journalism was its own thing. But I figured out a loophole that if I took an extra class somewhere else, that I could take also a TV film class as well as my broadcast. So I had like no free time at all. You
and I had the very same college experience because
you did the same. You tried to take some broadcasting also.
Well,
you were allowed to.
Well, I figured it out, and I was one of very few people who spent equal time doing TV and radio. So I would go back and forth from the radio building to the TV building. And like everybody else would be doing other kinds of stuff. And it's like, if I got to school at 7 a.m. and I did, and I would be there until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm working, and I was thrilled.
Right. Exactly. And I thought that why waste this opportunity to take those classes too? Like if I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure you did the same. Like, did you work on your campus radio and your campus TV and right? So I did UUTV and did all these shows. I worked with Jack Helmuth. Do you know Jack Helmuth? I thought you knew him.
I don't know if I know him. Who is him?
He writes for. Now he writes for not the Late Show, but the one. Oh my gosh, it's called. Edit this out. You're like, no, I don't edit anything
Who's
out.
the host?
The African-American man, the later show.
The Daily Show?
No.
Oh, no. He took over for Colbert's spot. The Nightly Show.
Yes.
There you go.
There it is.
It's not, I don't think that's a shame to not know that because of all the shows that got new hosts recently, that's the only one that changed its name.
Okay. I could not think of Yeah,
because you can't call that the Colbert Report anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, is that?
That's the same spot. That's the same slot.
Yeah.
But it's now the Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore.
That's exactly it.
Yes,
Exactly. So I guess he produces and writes that and he's been in it. But he used to be, so he was a part of that campus TV station and we had done some stuff together. But definitely I knew he was like this talented guy that was going to be, doing some good stuff. But, but yeah, so did all that broadcast journalism stuff, but something was always like, eating at me. Like I always wanted to act. I always wanted to, but Syracuse really didn't allow that at all.
Well, they're very serious programs all the way around.
And I don't regret going to Syracuse because it was a fantastic 4-year experience, but I wasn't allowed to take any acting classes. And I knew, or I really didn't know how to make this happen until I was in my late 20s because I felt this obligation to carry out, like if I wasn't going to be a reporter, which I decided not to do because I was with my husband at the time, who is now my husband, but he was English and I had to move to London. So I was like, let me go the production route.
Okay.
They weren't going to hire me as a reporter over there or work in news. I was working at Nickelodeon over there. And
all right. Well, let's slow this down a little bit. Okay.
There's too much.
There is, but it's all interesting stuff to me. So I want to make sure we don't skip over because there's stories here. I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're at Syracuse.
Yeah.
At what point do you meet your now husband?
So I already knew my now husband because I went to summer camp with him when I was 16.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's a whole story. But basically, I had been going to this sleepaway camp in New Jersey for 5 years, and it was my 6th year. I was finally old enough to work there. And, the first weekend, all the staff arrives, and I was the only Jersey girl there at this Jersey camp. Everyone was from Staten Island, Long Island, Queens, and Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so my friend Iris from Staten Island was like, oh my God, did you see all those English guys? They're like totally hot. Like I can't even, and I'm definitely going to hit that. I don't think she said hit that. I think that the word was go with. I'm going to go with them. I'm totally going to go with that guy. And she points to...
That, by the way, that was one of the most shocking impressions I've ever seen, having known you for as long as I know you.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
But it's just, it totally transformed you just now. And I wish this was an audio-visual presentation because you just turned into a girl
Iris from Staten Island.
Big time.
Oh my God. Well, that accent just blew me away. When I was there, I would actually come home and I had to get rid of certain Staten Island isms like caw, sticka.
You adopted hers.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, so she basically pointed to the guy who ended up being my now husband. And I looked at him. I was like, oh, he's so cute. There were all these like really cute English guys that I had never heard an English accent live.
Oh, pretty powerful stuff.
Wow. I was like, this is just too much for me. Like I cannot even deal. And like, I think at that moment, every part of me knew that it didn't have to be that guy, but I was like, I am marrying someone from England. I am going to spend my life with someone from England because I need to hear that accent every day.
Suddenly you had a romantic British fetish.
Holy moly. Yeah. Wow. So we actually did, I met, he actually was known as Sammy because our last name is Samuel. So it's David Samuel. But so Sammy, as he was known back then and still is known as Sammy in the UK, but not here.
Yeah. And now you're becoming British as you talk.
Well,
it's really
yes,
cool.
It's like I have met his whole family and they're all from Northwest London and they all speak like this. And, you know, but so... Yeah, so I was with him that summer. We kept in touch. It was letters, no email.
Oh, very old school.
Old school. I still have all the letters.
Oh,
it's kind of crazy. Yeah. So we wrote letters back and forth for a long time, and I was allowed sort of like that one phone call a week because it was so expensive to call England.
Of course, yeah.
It was like once a week I'd call my English boyfriend.
Did anybody doubt that you had it? Because that sounds like such a lie.
I'll tell you what I did. Well, he came to visit me
Oh.
during Christmas break.
Oh.
And I brought him to school the day before we let out for Christmas break. And so I proved it to everybody. This is my English boyfriend.
Up until then, had they doubted that he existed?
I think that they believed it, but
because if I was around, how old were you? You were like 17?
I was like 16.
16,
yeah.
17.
Like,
and I told people
sure.
I have a girlfriend who lives in England. You've never met her. They would absolutely think I was full of it. You know? But
your girlfriend in Canada,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. She's from Toronto.
Yeah. No, I think that I don't know. I guess they believed me, and I don't know. Maybe they didn't, but they did. They met him.
You brought the proof.
I brought the proof, and he was there, and they couldn't get over his accent either. And I was like, "Okay, stay away, everyone. He's mine."
Nice.
But then, by the time June rolled around, I hadn't seen him in like 6 months, and we kind of just it felt more distant. And by that summer, we went to a different camp and we broke up. They put us on different sides anyway, but it was fine. It was fine. And
well, at that age, you could speak to this way more than I could because I didn't meet my wife until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So meeting somebody that young, I'm sure if you stuck with that person at this point, you might wonder. Over. Yeah, because you might have wondered, did I get to mess
around later? Yeah.
I don't even know about messing around, but just like, living the experience of knowing what it's like being with multiple people, because dating is a healthy part of life.
Totally. And I'm so glad. And he's so glad. Oh my God. You ask him. Believe me, I think he slept with that entire camp that summer we broke up. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that,
go Sammy, I suppose.
Go Sammy.
You're very open about it, and that's probably a healthy thing. I'm open about
a lot of things. Yeah. I'm an open person.
Yes.
So that's a truth. And we did not speak for about 4 years. Not because we were upset with each other. We broke up. That was it.
Yeah.
But then I was going to study abroad my junior year of college.
Okay.
In England, and I got in touch with him. I wrote a letter.
Oh.
And he called me and he said, when you get here, let's have lunch. And I said, okay, let's do it. And so I got over there and we went out with all his friends one night with all my friends. It went horribly wrong. Everyone got lost in different cars going to different clubs around London, and his friends were angry. This happened and that happened. And I didn't even see him that night really. But then he said, no, seriously, let's really just you and I have lunch. And we did. And then that was it. And it kind of just from there, we started dating again and I was over there. And then he moved over here after, it's a long story, but basically I went there after I graduated college, worked there for 6 months at Dateline NBC during the Princess Diana funeral coverage.
Oh my gosh.
They threw me into the fire.
Doing what?
Some off-camera reporting.
So for somebody, because for a lot of people, I guess the curtain is still there for people, and they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. When you talk about being an off-camera reporter, people know what reporters are because they're the ones who hold the microphone on the camera. Yeah. But what is your job as an off-camera reporter at that rate? So
basically, they didn't have many people in the office over there in the NBC London office. There was like 3 or 4 of us. They had to fly everyone over. It was going to take a little time to get everyone over there.
Sure. Mobilizing for something like that.
They said, just get on the phones and call this. I don't even know what they sent me, but they sent me a million things. I somehow researched and found the number to the head of the paparazzi agency that I believe in France who they were pointing to as...
Oh, the ones who hired the guys who chased her car?
So I called them and in their broken English, I basically got them saying like, yes, we did it. We went after her. But I was so green and so lost and so scared that I didn't know how to take those statements and say, I just got the statement, and say like, okay, I need to call you back or we need to get this on camera.
Right.
So I remember running to my producer and saying, they said they did it. And she was like, where is it? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, did you record it? I'm like, no one gave me equipment. I was on the phones with them.
Right.
And then that was it. Like we couldn't get them again. And I did do some other stuff where we were running around London and interviewing people and so that kind of with camera crews. Yeah.
See, I was in news the same time you were, which is interesting.
This is crazy. We have a very similar path.
I think we knew this. I think we may have traced these steps before, but it's cool to do it in this format.
Yes.
But back when we were doing news and at that time, the internet really wasn't a factor.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I mean, I had, AOL and Prodigy, but it wasn't like you could do all your research. You couldn't.
No, nothing was online.
Everything was over the phone.
Yes.
And it was really hard to record a phone conversation.
Oh my goodness.
And I got into it when I did news. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
No, right?
No.
And you needed to be taught the steps. And there was a lot of, I'm still to this day, like the worst with technical equipment. Like that was my downfall as a producer. it frustrated me too much.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with the technical stuff. I wanted to do all the research and do all the interviews and then write everything up, sit with an editor and tell them what to do, but I didn't want to press any buttons.
Right.
And I think that's also why I think the reporting scared me, is that to become a reporter first, you need to go out with your own equipment. And I just was like, forget about it. So
what was the biggest thing that you got from the experience of covering her death? I mean, what's the thing that stuck with you? Yeah, go ahead.
Don't go into news.
I totally understand, but what, from your perspective, why?
Because everyone was so excited and I was just sad.
I totally understand.
I wanted to sit at my desk and cry for her. I had been at her birthday opening at the Tate gallery like a week prior to that, or 2 weeks prior to that, and we filmed her going into her birthday at the Tate, and here I see her live, and then we're covering her death, and I was just really sad, and I thought, everyone is so excited, I can't be a part of this.
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
And I literally, a week later, walked myself around the corner to Rathbone Place to Nickelodeon UK, walked in, spoke to the receptionist and said, can I speak to someone in I spoke American.
Yeah,
can I please speak to someone in a production?
Did you do it like the Staten Island girl?
No, definitely not. They would have been like, get out. Who are you? Leave now. No, I somehow got myself an interview and got myself like an internship that turned into a job like a few weeks later.
Wow.
And it was such a tiny little office and I loved being there. It was so exciting, but I really knew within a month of working there that I just wanted to be on camera.
You wanted to,
I wanted to be in front of that camera doing what they were doing, where they were doing this thing called live links, where it was like in between shows, in between Kenan and Kel and Rugrats.
Yeah, the interstitial stuff.
They had two live hosts in the studio and they were, hi, welcome back to Moon Yolanda. We're so glad to see you. If you're 5 years old, we hope you're tuning in for the next show. And I was like, I just want to do that. I want to talk to the kids out there. I want to entertain and inform them. I want to be the one. I want to, use my energy and talk to people out there. So I knew, and by the time my visa ran up, within that 6 months, I went home, and I knew I needed to do something. But I had this experience working in production, so I transitioned to VH1.
Here.
Yeah, here
in New York.
Great experience. Worked on Behind the Music, worked on the Keith Moon Behind the Music, and was the researcher. It was just so awesome. And I worked on so many great shows. And
I actually remember that Keith Moon one.
You do?
The drummer from The Who, and I mean, fascinating guy. Fascinating guy.
Oh my God.
Can I ask you for just like one thing that you found out during that process that blew your mind? Because there has to be something.
Oh my God, everything. Like,
all right, okay.
The amount of drugs that he did, like he would just take Quaaludes and like Coke and pot and alcohol and then still, I don't know, he would rip out things of hotel rooms and like throw them out the window. But one thing that I looked at thousands of photos of Keith Moon, and I started to feel like I knew him.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And you have to find a way not to get so personally invested that,
See, it's really, because that is the other part of why I think you and I didn't succeed or continue with news. Because if you keep finding yourself being personally invested in your subject, you can't be objective about covering them.
You're so right. You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I'm too emotional, and I'm too I'm happy I'm emotional, but I feel really deeply about everything that I work on.
Yes.
And so you cannot make it so personal when you're a journalist.
Right.
Right. So I would gather everything, and I worked on like, Where Are They Now before they were rock stars and all that type of stuff. Really, like fun clip shows type stuff, but what happened was I needed to get into an acting class. I needed to try it out. And I finally found my way into the Sally Johnson studio, which is now called The Studio. And it was a film and TV acting class. And it just blew my mind. It blew my mind because it was like the therapy I was waiting for. It was like cathartic. And we just like let everything out and just put everything out there, and then created characters, but then learned how to really on camera just be and not try hard or just, and I had a theater background in the sense that like I always did shows in high school, and I did study with the American Stage Company. I worked with actually Rick Sordelay, was who's amazing. He's a really well-known stage fight choreographer for Broadway, but he at the time, like before his huge credits, was teaching the American Stage Company, which is now not there anymore. But and I was 16 and I was taking these classes, so I did take scene study and some Meisner and stuff like that.
You had some fundamental stuff.
I did, but I had never taken anything like this TV and film class, and I was there for like 7 years.
Wow.
And it really wasn't until I became a mom that I went full on, like, this is my profession. Which
is almost the exact opposite of what most people do.
99%. Yeah, I know.
Similar to me, I didn't start until I had pretty much gotten engaged. And most guys get into it to find girlfriends, you know, like it's heterosexual guys who get into it, or
right. So it's so right. We have such a similar path, but don't you think it served you?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Started later.
Yes, absolutely. Because I always say that for me, I spent my 20s getting my ass kicked doing other things, and it was that resilience that gave me, allowed me to take an audition in stride. It was like, that's so what? I didn't get that one. I've been through a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And did you also freelance? Like, I feel like as a freelancer, it was like every 3 months I was finding a new job. So you just have that same sense that an actor has. Like, we're always working on new things anyway.
It's really funny. And I love that you're interviewing me back, and it's still, I think that's awesome. For me, I always said that my favorite part of any job I ever had was the interview.
Yeah.
And then my worst, my least favorite thing about any job I ever had was day one, because it was always when they were showing me around, I realized I'm not going to be here long.
Oh my gosh. I have a story for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I had freelanced. I worked on jobs. Some jobs were 1 week, some were 2 weeks, some were 3 months. My longest ever was 8 months. Okay. So a few weeks before I got married, someone said, there's a producer leaving at this advertising agency. I know advertising's not your thing, but maybe because you have the production experience, it's in the production department, you should give it a shot. It's a full-time job with benefits. And my husband, who is such a company man, he's been at the same job for 20 years, at the time was like, definitely go for it. You've got to. It'll be fantastic. You'll be at one place all the time. And I was like, to him, that sounded like amazing. And to me, that sounded really scary. But I went for it. And it was at Draft Worldwide. Which is this direct marketing big agency. And I walked in the door and it was so scary. All these people at desks wearing not suits, but definitely more dressed up than I had been in any of my jobs. And also, like, I still to this day don't own like a real suit.
Yeah,
like I have like
of course.
pieces of things for auditions and stuff, but not,
Yeah.
And all these perks, the guy was showing me around. Oh yeah. And then Friday at 5, we have happy hour upstairs. You can get a beer. And most people would be like, that's so cool. There's like this coffee espresso bar and everything. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And within, I think I had been there maybe 3 weeks. And by the way, I have to say that when I got there, my boss said, what do you like to be called? And I said, and I thought to myself, this is a new career, Elizabeth. I don't know why I came up with that. Nobody calls me Elizabeth, right? Like
that's your professional name. Your corporate name.
That's my corporate name.
Yeah, there you go.
Elizabeth Samuel. I'm going to be Elizabeth Samuel. But actually I wasn't married at the time. So I was going to Elizabeth Grossinger. But oh my gosh, she kept calling me from the other room. Elizabeth.
Oh God.
Elizabeth. I didn't answer because I didn't know it was me. So all of a sudden, within 3 weeks, I get a call. I get like an email or call from someone I had worked with at VH1, and he said, "I've got this great, coordinating producer role for you for a hidden camera prank show. You got to take it. You got to take it." I'm like, "But I'm in a full-time with benefits company job now." And he's like, "What? Get out of there." Yeah. Like he just knew me. He knew me. And my boss, I went to her to tell her, and she's like, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything. You're going to get laid off tomorrow." I was like, "Oh, yes."
Yeah. Score.
And I got laid off. It was like the best thing ever.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was only like in a, real company job for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I was so glad to get out and go to VH1. Maybe it was MTV when I went to that one. So, but these producers I'd worked with before, and I was in like the hidden camera prank show world for a while. I didn't love these pranks that made me feel pretty bad because I felt bad about people, and it just felt like bad karma. But I was sort of just had always worked with these guys, and I worked with a lot of really great improv actors who all did these shows, and they've now gone on to some great stuff. Like,
so wait, what show? What show was that?
So the first one was Sledgehammer, but then it was Boiling Points.
Okay, Boiling Points, where a lot of people got their start.
Yeah. So
who did you work with then?
So I worked with Nick Kroll, and I worked with Rob Hubel, and I worked with Billy Merritt.
A lot of the UCB guys.
Yeah, a lot of UCB guys. Rebecca Johnson, Allison. Oh my gosh, she's on everything. Becker, Allison Becker.
Okay. Allison
Becker. I worked with them, and I loved them, and I thought they were great. They definitely had a talent that I wish I had, and I think I learned a lot from them. But I don't know why. I never made the time to go take classes at UCB. And it still haunts me to this day. Like, I know I can still go do that. But I do feel like I have good instincts, and that if I went to take the class, I know you learn all these rules,
right?
But I felt like watching all these improv guys, I got a sense of
how they get things done.
Yeah. I still would have a lot to learn and would be in awe of everyone there. But it was fun. I was a part of that for a while. And then, but I was really itching to get on camera. And so
that's one of the hardest things in the world to do. And I don't know if everybody can relate to this because it's a kind of a specific thing, but to be somebody who wants to be in front of the camera, hanging back and doing production behind the camera, unless it's by choice, like if I've directed, it's my choice to not be in it. And that's what I'm pursuing for my own benefit. But as a job to watch other people do that, it kills me. Yeah. And and I think it was eating me. It was eating me inside, and I was becoming really miserable and unhappy. And so I had been married for about a year and a half when I suddenly was in this job. It was no longer with a prank show. It was, I was working on a show for WNBC, and they told us, "Congrats, you just got picked up for, a whole season. There'll be 8 months of work." And I freaked out. Oh yeah, I can see that totally. Home, and I said to my husband, I just can't do this. And he said, "Okay, why don't you take 6 months, quit your job, take 6 months to try the acting thing? Okay, just do it." Yeah, and I did, and it felt so good. And my boss was like, "What's wrong with you? We just got picked up." I'm like, "I have to do this." Yeah, and he did not understand. Probably never, ever ended up understanding. Sure. It doesn't matter. That's not his, and I booked a lead in a film that went to a festival like a week later. It didn't go to the festival a week later, but we shot it like within that month. And what was the name of that? That was called Strangers. Strangers. Okay. And it was, what year was that? It was like 2002. And the only reason I ask is because actually that was before you and I worked together because but that was within like maybe a year. Okay, yeah, it was around the same time that you and I worked on the project. No, I think it may have been that year. No, it could have been. It gets fuzzy after a while, Right. So then maybe the next one I did was probably with you, which that's was so funny. It was called Among Friends. There it is. Yeah, and there were some great people in that. We were with Jeff Hiller, who's been on this show. Oh, I love him. He's fantastic. I loved him. Did you see Bloody Andrew Jackson? I didn't, but I know it was amazing. He was so wonderful. I know from people it was amazing. Summer has done amazing things. Elliot became like an amazing like film person in terms of all sorts of stuff. And everybody, I feel like that whole it was a chock there was a cast. First of all, it was a student film.
Yeah.
And it was a student film for, I think, SVA.
Yeah.
Which gets a reputation as being lesser than Columbia or NYU.
Right.
But if you get the right student director and student crew, they can do great stuff. And in this case, we all worked together on this one tiny little film. I remember we were in that really cool apartment.
Yeah, I was like on the east side in the midtown. And it was a great experience. I felt like there was something magical going on.
It was a great time.
I think for everyone, something magical was happening. And for me, it was I knew I was going to continue acting.
Yeah.
Like, I think I probably did a really crappy job in that.
No. In fact, you hold a place of honor in my career because you were the partner in my first professional kiss.
Oh, that's so awesome, Dave! I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was such an interesting experience for me, and I remember talking very specifically with you about it. And you're like, I have this class, and the teacher's always like, yeah, just your teacher says, just kiss that guy, kiss him, kiss him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's a lot of kissing going on,
and it made me feel very much at ease, and I always appreciated that because it was like, well, you're not my wife, but I have to get this.
God, that's so awesome.
The job was, yeah. Even though it was a little peck, it was still to me a meaningful moment.
Definitely, and I think that there was definitely for a lot of people, like I feel like the universe brought everyone there together for a reason, and I really. It set me off on a path of knowing that I needed to be doing something with acting. It felt so good.
Yeah.
And so, I think that a year later I was pregnant. And I didn't realize that I would get pregnant so quickly. So I didn't get to really fully realize my acting career because I was just starting out.
And that's something I definitely wanted to talk to you about because you, like me, you started a little bit later in your later 20s.
Yeah.
And you finally got your feet on the ground. But you being a wife and now a mother, you bear the responsibility of bearing the child. So whereas I started a family and
you could go walk out the door and go to an audition,
that's
right?
That's right.
Yeah, no.
Even though I did sort of take a year off, you had the experience of really taking some time off. So
yeah, I did.
For you, what was that like?
So I felt part of me was like we were both really scared and freaked out that I got pregnant so quickly. We'd been married for a year and a half, but we were just like, wait, it takes people so long usually. Why did I get pregnant on the first try? This is crazy. I was still in my 20s. I just felt like I didn't know anything and nobody I knew had babies. Like, what's a baby? I never even changed a diaper. I really had never.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have any
never
babies.
babysat?
Nah.
Never.
I mean, babysat older kids, like never babies. So I was totally freaked out by the whole experience. And so when I could not do any kind of acting, in any kind of work capacity. I still went to class for a long time.
Yeah. Well, how long is a long time for you?
I probably took, when I was 4 months pregnant, I did a little production in Brooklyn, a stage production. And then I took a production job just to keep busy.
Yeah.
Like in my last month of pregnancy, it was like another hidden camera prank show. But then I took a year off. Yeah. About a year off.
After the baby was born?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was such a hard time for me. I was nursing round the clock. I was so sleep deprived and I felt like a completely different human being. I didn't know at the time that it was postpartum, but I was having, there are the kids.
Speaking of which, yes.
Those kids get everywhere. Close the door, please. Hello, everybody. So it was so tough for me. I was having a really hard time with sleep deprivation and I couldn't focus on anything. And I was so nervous and worried about the baby and it was really hard. But I think that after a year, I decided to go back to class and start auditioning again. And it's so funny because it feels like I can't even remember that time, but I did go back and maybe do a few little commercials here and there. And then I got pregnant again. And then we moved out here to New Jersey. I was in Brooklyn at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was in Park Slope for 5 years. and with my daughter for 2.5. And then we moved here. And that's when it all really kicked off. I had my son. I started doing some community theater. Montclair's a great area. It's really cultural. There's just everything here. I love it. There's theater and film and wonderful restaurants and lots of creative people. And so I started to do local theater. And once my son was weaned, about at a year.
Yeah.
And then what happened was I just decided to, Dallas Travers. Do you know who Dallas Travers is?
I know the name, and I'm probably going to be embarrassed once you explain.
No. It's okay because there's a lot of people like her, but I think she's pretty fabulous. So someone turned me on to her about, I guess it's like 4 years ago. But I had started doing like some commercials. Someone got me connected to to a commercial agent, and I started to audition. I did a few things, and I was doing some theater. So I was sort of like straddling everything and being a mommy to like this 3-year-old and a baby, a 1-year-old. Yeah. So I was really crazy busy, but trying to manage it, but wasn't so serious about the career stuff yet.
Right.
Until finally, I knew I needed to do something about it because it was just really pulling at me. Like how do I really do this?
How do you get back in? Yeah.
How do I get back in for real?
Yeah.
And so what I did was someone told me that Dallas Travers is the sort of marketing guru for actors that, you can take all the classes you want, but if you don't know how to get yourself out there.
Right.
So I went to this like weekend breakthrough thing, and it was phenomenal. I met some great people in that class. It was a 2-day, all day thing. And she really just taught us how to like really market ourselves and also to really understand who we are. I needed to know my type. And I'm so glad I wasn't acting in my 20s because I don't think I really knew my type in my 20s. I really didn't. And now as a mom, here I am. I know that I'm the relatable, approachable mom.
Yeah. And you have that young mom look down pat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the vulnerable mom and the stuff, the raw, real stuff that goes on,
Sure. You can't fake.
Happens. You can't fake this life, right?
Right.
So, and I have to say, and I'm going to throw this in here, and this is taking a big risk by saying this.
Go ahead.
But there is a well-known casting director in town who puts out a blog who basically said, in essence, actors should have no life and they should never go on vacation and they should never do anything. They should only be here. And I thought, how am I going to be a good actor if I'm not experiencing my life?
I agree with you. And I think the absolute attitude that blog presents is a nice opinion. But I think it's detrimental to the development of an actual person,
A person and also an actor.
Yes, yes.
You need to really experience the ups and downs of life to be able to feel deeply and to be able to create characters that can be multi-layered and complex.
Yes.
So when I watch amazing actors that I absolutely adore, and I watch them on, a show or in a film, and I see the best thing about them is that they're so complex and there's no way they got there without living life.
Agreed.
Okay? So now as a mom, I feel like I bring so much more. And I probably in my 20s was like, la, la, la. I didn't know anything. I really didn't. And I also feel like I was a lucky person. I had a very easy childhood. And so I didn't have the ups and the downs. I had mostly ups. Mostly ups. So now, as a person that has to take care of 2 human beings, I experienced so much, and I recently, and I'll just say this because I think it's going to, I think it will serve me in time. Is that I lost my mother, who was my best friend and my biggest cheerleader. I lost her 3 months ago, and she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer almost 2 years ago, and it shocked me. It rocked my world. I mean, it rocked me to the core because my mom was the everything to everybody. And to find out that she was now sick was crazy. This couldn't happen. but we pulled our act together. We got her the best care possible, and she did amazingly for 18 months. She lost the battle, but she lived her life through those 18 months. She really lived, and she has taught me to live through everything. And I miss her terribly, but I hear her in me. So she was the person I called after every audition. I mean, I spoke to my mom 3 or 4 times a day, whether it was, what should I feed the kids, to listen to this story that happened at this audition, to, Mom, I booked the part, and she would do a dance for me. I mean, she was, as I said, biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter, and also just my rock. Knew everything about everything. In not a busybody way, in a really fabulous way, just like a great person. And the biggest thing that I have now from her is that she never let her diagnosis bring her to a dark place where she couldn't live her life anymore. She really lived till like the last week.
Wow.
And she created her art during that time. She was a sculptor and a painter, and she was still sculpting and painting up until like a few weeks before she died. In fact, she had 2 shows. Is it postmortem is what you say? She had a show a few weeks ago, and she has a show that's still going on right now in Brooklyn. Her sculptures are still being seen by people. Wow. And so she just taught me that you always just keep creating, and you keep living your life. And that's a gift. And that's a gift to me. And I want people to know that you cannot, you have to see the beauty in everything. I see the beauty in her death, which is a hard thing to say, but I see the beauty in what she gave me. And I'm very grateful. I feel like that term grateful is thrown around so much that it's become cliche.
Yeah.
But if you it really is something to behold, to say, I am grateful. You really do learn to be happy with what you have.
Yeah.
And I've never been one of those people that needs like the next bag or the next shoe or like, I just don't care about that stuff.
Right.
And that I got from my mom. And I think that I get really excited about life, not about stuff. And I think that that's also part of what makes me excited about being an actor, is that I get to experience different lives. I don't need to experience stuff. I want to experience life.
That's true. That's great advice for anybody and anything. And it's a great legacy that your mom left.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. It's odd to try and change gears off of that because it was, okay. but I wanted to let you talk about the project that you just did that's a film festival run, which is nice. So tell us about that. So
I can't believe it's been 2 years, but 2 years ago, I was cast as the female lead in a 30-minute short called Mirrors. And this film is a psychological thriller. And I'm not just saying this because I'm in it. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. My heart was pounding watching it, and I forgot I was in it. Like, it's just, I think it's exciting. I wish that it could have been a feature, but wasn't the intention at the time.
Right.
And I think that Kelly Miller, who plays my husband, I think he does a great job playing this therapist who basically he's taking on the feelings of his clients. And he's starting to feel what the clients are feeling. And so he starts to believe things about his wife, and which may or may not be true. And I play that woman, his wife. And so that film is at the Big Apple Film Festival in November. It's screening on November 6th. And I'm excited because I feel like people should see it. I think it's just exciting.
It's the best when you do a project like that and you actually think, hey, I want people to go see this.
Yeah, like forget that I'm in it.
Yeah,
like,
don't just go see me or support me. It's like it's really, the whole thing is great to watch.
Totally. Like I just think it's an exciting film, and I think
I love that feeling.
I want people to see it because of that. I mean, I'm a big fan of stuff that really keeps you on the edge of your seat. I love Breaking Bad. And that type of excitement. and I don't need blood, guts, and gore. Like I could do without it.
Sure.
And this film, Mirrors, doesn't have anything like that. It is just all about your psyche and like, you know, what you can make,
psychological thriller
and
stuff.
what can make you believe, like, and what can, you know, and what happens because of it. So that's going on, and so that's going to be fun, I think. And then, and I'm doing a week after that. I'm in a Manhattan Repertory Theater. I'm in their 10-minute play festival.
Awesome. Those are the best. I love those kind of short play festivals.
Yeah, it's like short, like
and you
little
get to interact with a lot of different people.
Yeah. I did a 1-minute play festival back in May.
Which is crazy, yeah.
Crazy. But I got to do like 4 or 5 1-minute plays, and they all had their own characters and their own life. And I loved them. And I wanted to, in fact, I still have this feeling like I want to get in touch with 2 of the playwrights, because I really feel that these should be characters that we need to develop more. I had so much fun playing this vapid woman who was taking selfies while she's waiting for her son to come out of brain surgery. It was just so much fun. Just so much fun to play such a stupid idiot, you know? I loved it. And then, you know, and then switching gears to like someone who's like breaking down crying. I really love to get into characters and embody them. And, you know, the more ridiculous, the better.
Yeah. Is that push to want to get them to expand those characters, as much as you hated it, is that maybe some remnants of your producer days? Was there some of that in you to still like put your mind into how do we get this produced and not just how do I appear in it?
So sometimes, although I have been asked by many people over the years, over like the 10 years that I've been doing this, the acting thing and not the producing thing, Liz, you were a producer. Can we sit down and talk? And I always do. And I give them advice, and I can connect people. I have to say, one of my biggest strengths is I can connect people to other people. I feel like I remember really weird details about everybody and where they worked and where they're from and where they grew up. And so I remember their names. I remember everything about them. And so I can connect everybody. So it doesn't matter. You want to open up a hair salon in like Milwaukee, I will tell you who's living there now. And
now you know who to contact.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's a bad example because I don't know anyone in Milwaukee. But the promise is there.
Right, and that's what's important.
Right, I will connect you. I figured out. But so that part of me, like, I love that part. But I think that it's hard for me then to put my heart into someone else's work if I'm not going to be in it, and if I'm not going to be at this point in my life with how busy I am as a mom. If I'm not acting in it, I don't feel like I want to be I don't want to produce your film. But I'm really happy to sit down and give free advice. And I do that all the time.
There you go.
Like, I will connect you to all the best people that I can think of. And, if there was a career as a is that a networker? I don't know, but I'm not a schmoozy person. A connector. That is my next career. I feel really confident as a producer in that realm.
Yeah.
Like, I can sit down and get everyone together for a project. So and then I want to jump off.
Right. So either if you want to get some free advice, contact Liz, or if you have a script that she would be good for, and you also want someone who might produce, now you know who to contact.
There it is.
How do people get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website, which is just lizsamuel.com.
Easy enough.
I have my phone number on there and my email, and that's the best way. I am on Facebook, Liz
Twitter.
Samuel. I am on Twitter, Lizzie G Sam. I have no idea how that happened.
It sounds like you're 17 when you did something like that.
What the heck? No one calls me Lizzie except the Brits. My sister-in-law calls me Lizzie. My mother, everyone over there calls me Lizzie. I do not like to be called Lizzie. But I don't know why that happened. I don't even understand it. And I don't even I don't get high. So I don't know, was I high when I did that? But I don't get high. So I don't know.
It's a psychological thriller.
What the heck?
In the making
Lizzie
here.
G Sam? Who is that? But that's my Twitter handle. Yeah.
Maybe it's your alter ego.
Lizzie G Sam.
It's the person you see in the mirror when you look back.
Yeah. And it's funny, maybe that's who I saw. I saw this woman on a bus who was just this character that I've got to create. Maybe that's Lizzie G Sam.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
It's crazy.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, this was fun. This is fun.
You're awesome.
Steve.
That's Liz Samuel. Very cool conversation there. She and I just have just a ton of stuff in common in terms of our career. It's very cool to talk to somebody and understand things on that level. And certainly to hear her version of it gives me a little bit of perspective on my own experience, and the stuff that she said about appreciating what you have and living every day. That's something that I definitely will carry with me. If you want to see Liz, her film Mirrors by Jin-Young Chung will be in the Big Apple Film Festival at Village Cinema East on November 6th. Link for tickets will be in the show notes for this episode at bringyourownlunch.com. Look for that. Also in November, she'll be appearing in the play Pentonville, part of Manhattan Rep's 10-minute play contest. Show dates 11, 13, and possibly 19 if they move on to the finals. Again, details in the show notes for this episode on the website. And also you can see a clip of her in a TiVo commercial that's apparently really, really funny. I haven't actually checked it out yet, but I'm going to as soon as I finish wrapping up this episode. And in general, if you want to keep in touch with her, keep track of her career, you can find her online at lizsamuel.com. You can also follow her on Twitter at LizzieGSam. I will have a link to that in the show notes for this episode rather than trying to spell that out for you now. Thanks, Liz, for inviting me to your lovely home in New Jersey and allowing me to record while your kids were so kind to hang out outside and keep the dog occupied. That was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next. All right, that about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Glad you could join us. Thank you. Also, thank Banooba, BANOOBA.net. That's the band playing the music you're listening to right now. Go to their website, download their music, buy their music, go see them live. They're awesome. And tell them Dave says hi. And don't forget to go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com, where you can find out all the information about the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future, plus extra stuff like Who Ate the Cupcake. That video will be up there. And if you want to take me to task on any of it, I'm a very available guy. Email me, dave@bringyourownlunch.com, and we will talk about it. I will arrange to have a conversation with you about that video, as long as you're willing to come on and have that conversation be played for the world to hear. Let's do it. Like us on Facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. Follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at bringyourownlunch. And please, 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 if you have a moment, go to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe to Bring Your Own Lunch, then tell 10 friends, tell 100 friends, tell 1,000,000 friends. Just put it on YouTube. It'll go viral. And don't forget to hashtag BYOL. Stay tuned for Jimmy Jack's Cowpunch Hour, followed by Mansour and the Fish. And until next week, when I have another great guest lined up, this is Dave. I'll see you next week. Hey, Jack. Did you eat a cupcake?
No.
You didn't eat a cupcake?
No, I was at home.
You sure you didn't eat a cupcake?
No.
I thought you maybe had a cupcake.
No.
No?
No.
Definitely not?
No.
Not like in the last couple minutes?
No.
No cupcake for Jack?
No.
Oh, okay.